with tariffs as U.S. rolls them back. All right, let's get right into it.
And joining me now is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Secretary Bessent, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Chris, good to be with you today.
It's great to have you here in person. Thank you for being here. I want to start right there on the discussion of affordability. You just heard Vice President J.D. Vance ask people to have, quote, a little bit of patience with the administration. Let me ask you, Mr. Secretary, how long do Americans need to be patient? How long do they have to wait for the cost of living to come down?
Well, Kristen, in March of 2024, I wrote a piece and I talked about the three I's that were killing Americans: immigration, interest rates, and inflation. President's closed the border and the mass immigration is gone. And that was putting, a lot of the immigration was putting upward pressure on housing, downward pressure on wages. Interest rates are down. And now we are starting to see the affordability. The prices get better. We had a very big October for home sales. Energy prices, gasoline is down. We saw, we believe healthcare is going to come down. We will see an announcement this coming week on that. And so across the board, prices are starting to come down. We're having Thanksgiving week. This will be the lowest cost for a Thanksgiving dinner in 4 years. Turkey prices are down 16%.
And yet some prices are going up. Of course, we have seen prices increasing on staples like coffee, bananas, bacon. Inflation has gone up. It's at 3% now, up from 2% in April when the tariffs were imposed.
No, they weren't. So inflation hasn't gone up. And Kristen, the one thing that we're not going to do is do what the Biden administration did and tell the American people they don't know how they feel. They are traumatized, and over the Biden inflation, we have slowed inflation, and we are working very hard to bring it down.
Which is true. I mean, they have slowed inflation. I mean, the problem is the Biden administration is the reason inflation got out of hand, and that's just something the Dems will never be honest about. So don't expect them to tell you the truth about that. They'll just sit there and pretend like Biden's inflation is still not something that we're dealing with today. Like, they're going to sit there and pretend like we weren't at 4 or 5% inflation just last year under Biden. They're going to sit there and pretend like, oh, yeah, all that just went away and everything that's happening today is Trump's fault. Well, I got something to show you. Let me show you something, because, I ran the numbers. I said, you know what? If mainstream media can do it, of course I can do it too. And guess what I did it with? I did it with good old Chat GPT and AI. Pulled all the information from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and all that and CPI indexes. And I got this right here. This cool little graph. I mean, like, bro, look at this. Now, if you guys are on the full screen, hey, if you guys are on the horizontal, you can really see it. But here it is. Cumulative consumer price index, price increase by category, Trump versus Biden. Now we're talking about Trump's first term from 2017 to 2021 to Biden 2021 2025. Now we're talking about a price increase of 20% overall. Trump, he had a price increase of about 7% or so. This man had 21% or more in overall consumer price index growth. Well, in prices. Now, how much do groceries go up? Food at home, they went up about 22, 23%. Housing and shelter, how much did that go up under Biden? And you think these price increases just went away? No, we still dealing with these price increases today. Actually, what makes it worse is that the current inflation rate, due to the fact that it hasn't been stabilized yet, is adding on top of it by 0.3% about every month and a quarter to the consumer price index. If you look, it has went up about 0.2, 0.3 month over month. But we all want to sit here and pretend like, I don't know, this had nothing to do with it. Like, come on now, let's not be intellectually dishonest here. But I mean, hey, shout out Chat GPT. I mean, you gotta love Chat GPT. But all right, guys, let's get back to my man Bessent.
I can tell you that the Council on Economic Advisors has a study. The best way to bring your inflation rate down? Move from a blue state to a red state. Blue state inflation is 0.5% higher, and that is because they don't deregulate. They keep prices up. Energy is higher.
Just according to the consumer prices, inflation was at 2.3% back in April. In September, 3%. But let me ask you about tariffs, because there's this big announcement on tariffs. Since you were last on this program, the administration announced it was rolling back tariffs on more than 200 food products. You have said recently that you think tariffs help consumers. If tariffs help consumers, why is the administration rolling them back?
Well, if you actually knew just a little bit of economics, you could honestly just say, well, since they're rolling back the tariffs, and this doesn't mean that it goes straight to the consumer still, actually, this means that, well, this could actually employ these guys to buy more product, thus having more supply, thus lowering their costs. I mean, I remember one of the main points was, well, they're limiting how much they could buy so they don't have to pass it down. I mean, they're limiting their supplies and are taking it to the chin, or like the Dem said, or they're just going to limit their supply and pass it to the consumer. Great, use that same logic. If there's less tariffs to pay, that means they could buy more product that's adding more supply, thus lowering their prices.
First of all, Kristen, if you look at the data, that imported goods, the inflation has actually been flat. Inflation.
Yeah, but you tell that to a Dem and they're going to hit you with this.
No, it was a huge movie. It was the lead. No.
Almost every time.
Is up because of the service economy and services. So that has nothing to do with tariffs. And many of the food items where the inflation.
Oh, guys, let's not forget to support the stream so we can keep the stream going, guys. Appreciate the support, but let's make sure to support so we can keep this stream going.
Is coming down. The USTR has been working very hard on trade deals, and the trade deals that have been in the works for 6 or 8 months coincide with many Latin American, Central American countries where the foodstuffs you just named come from.
Well, and banana prices are up almost 7%. Coffee prices up nearly 19%.
Oh, yeah, we know.
The fact that you're rolling back tariffs in admission that ultimately they do drive up prices for consumers?
I would say no. If I was Scott Bessent, I'd have just told her no. But I could say that us rolling back tariffs could employ these guys, these importers, to increase their supply, just thus driving down prices. I mean, no, that could always happen as well.
Kristen, how much does your arm weigh?
That I do not know.
Exactly. But you know how much you weigh. You get on the scale every morning. Inflation is a composite number, and we look at everything. So we try to push down the things we can control. And as I said, that we are working on the energy prices are down, and everything flows from that. And I think we're going to see these other prices come down. And again, many of these goods were part of trade deals with countries that have been in the works for months.
Sure, very quickly, come down in a matter of weeks, months?
Sorry?
Weeks or months? You said the prices will come down in weeks or months?
Some are going to come down in weeks, some are going to come down in months. We just had in terms of affordability, we just had the best month in the housing market due to affordability, due to increased supply in October, best October in 3 years, best month since February.
Let me ask you big picture, Mr. Secretary.
I mean, yes, we did add a good amount of jobs to the economy. I believe it was about 119,000 jobs that was added to the economy in October. So, I mean, hey, it's positive job growth for about what? Like maybe like a month or two of low to negative job growth. Well, I know we had negative job growth during the summer.
Jerry, you said earlier this month, I'm going to quote you.
One
quote,
bad month.
I think there are sectors of the economy that are in a recession. Kevin Hassett, director of the National Economic Council, said, quote, we're starting to see pockets of the economy that look like they might be in a recession. Which parts of the economy do you believe have dipped into a recession?
Well, clearly housing has been struggling, and so interest rate sensitive sectors have been in a recession. And the other thing that was not helpful, Kristen, was the longest government shutdown in history. It was 1.5% hit to GDP. They had 9,500 flights canceled, and the Democrats didn't care that they hurt the American economy. Anything to stop Donald Trump.
Well, big picture, is the country at risk, the entire country at risk of being in a recession?
No, I am very confident about 2026, because what we are going to see is the president has done peace deals, tax deals, and trade deals, but one big beautiful bill. And to go back to affordability, affordability has two components. So it's price of goods and real incomes. So under the one big beautiful bill, especially,
and the only way to beat this inflation, well, be real with you, is not the lowering of inflation, but it's the raising of wages. Like, yes, we have to raise wages. And I mean, here's the thing, it kind of goes into Trump's whole immigration strategy is to create scarcity in the worker market. So wages also go up that way as well. So it all works into raising wages. That's why it was no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, because Trump's main goal is to raise wages to outpace inflation. Can it be done? I mean, yeah, it can be, but will Trump do it? Well, let's see if he can pull it off.
for working Americans, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, auto deductibility on loans for American cars. That's all kicking in. Americans have not changed their withholding, so we're going to see substantial refunds to working families in the first quarter of 2026. Americans will change their withholding, and they will get an increase in real income. The trade deals that we've done, I was just at my hometown, Charleston, South Carolina. Boeing is expanding their Dreamliner plant, 1,000 new jobs, and I think we're going to see these plant openings every week. I am very, very optimistic on 2026. We have set the table for a very strong, non-inflationary growth economy.
Okay, let me ask you about the big news on the world stage. You just talked about the president's peace deals. Let's talk about Ukraine. U.S. lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, Ukrainian officials who I've spoken to, say the peace plan for Russia and Ukraine, as written, only benefits Russia. Let me ask you simply, Mr. Secretary, was this 28-point plan written by Russia?
I have no information on that, Kristen, but I can tell you, I am the highest ranking U.S. official to have visited Ukraine. I went last February.
I would say this. I mean, yeah, I would just admit it. Like, yeah, it's definitely written by Russia. Actually, Russia came into the negotiation table and they told Ukraine negotiators just to sit their ass down and let them handle things. Because that's literally how this Ukrainian peace deal was written. Like, literally written by the Kremlin and nobody else. Like, nobody else, not even America, not even we had anything to say about it. They just sat everybody down and they said, look, you're just about to watch us write this treaty, okay? You're about to watch us write the peace deal.
And when I went last February, I went with an economic cooperation agreement between the U.S. and Ukraine. President Zelensky pushed back against it. The same people you're just talking about there pushed back against it. Mainstream media pushed back against it. You know what? We did it 3 months later, and now it is the centerpiece for the Ukrainian economy, that this agreement is even funding military plants for the very innovative military sector in the Ukraine. So, you know, I would be very careful on conventional wisdom. And to go back to your question, it is a peace negotiation.
Well, okay, to that point, Republican Senator Mike Rounds, who was briefed by Secretary Rubio, came out and he said this, quote, "It's not our peace plan. It looked more like it was written in Russian to begin with." Secretary Rubio said,
it doesn't matter. I mean, look, them signing this peace plan does not affect us not one bit. Are we losing land? No. Do we got to cut our army? No. So I'm not even understanding why they're trying to include us in Ukraine's mess. Like, we're like, first off, Ukraine isn't even part of NATO. So, I mean, I don't even know what all this loyalty to Ukraine is all about. Like, bro, it don't even make sense. Like, at least with the Israel first guys, that makes sense because a lot of those guys are mostly Jewish. But this whole loyalty to Ukraine stuff, I mean, y'all not even Ukrainian. Actually, y'all actually have a hatred for the people of Russia, which guess what? There's a lot of Russians in Ukraine. So I'm so confused on this blind loyalty towards them and thinking that we just need to go balls to the wall for a country that, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was known for corruption most of its, like, honestly, all of its life. So please tell me why we care so much about Ukraine. Just make it make sense.
it looked more like it was written in Russian to begin with.
But he's right. It's not our peace plan. You're right. It's Ukraine and Russia's peace plan. Like, stop trying to include the U.S. as if we're taking a loss here.
Secretary Rubio says the U.S. did write the plan, but regardless of who wrote it, U.S. lawmakers are concerned that it benefits Russia over Ukraine. Is the administration, is President Trump planning to pressure Ukraine to accept this deal?
Look, at the end of the day, it's going to be a decision with the Ukrainians. President Trump is a president of peace. This war would not have started There was no Ukrainian territory taken anytime that he's been in office. Everything else, Crimea, and this move had been when President Trump wasn't there. President Trump has put more pressure on the Russian Federation with economic sanctions. The laggards here are the Europeans. The Europeans tell me, oh, we are doing our 19th sanctions package. In my mind, Kristen, if you're going to do something 19 times, you failed. Instead, President Trump moved forward with a bold initiative that the Europeans would not follow us on. He put a 25% tariff on India because they were buying Russian oil. The Russian oil going in.
And yeah, here's the thing: like, we low-key tried our hardest. Like, we put sanctions on these guys already. Like, we did it before the war even started. I mean, we got India to back out of buying oil. We got China to back out of buying rare earth minerals from these guys. I mean, we did everything in our power to cripple their economy, and they still came out on top. Still end up having the upper hand on the battlefield. We weren't able to crush their economy in time to pretty much get Ukraine a dub. I told you that was the gamble. The gamble was, can we crush Russia's economy in time so they can't even carry out the war, and either they get a stalemate or they lose? Apparently, this is where we're at right now. None of that happened. Their economy didn't get crushed, and if anything, it was Ukraine that got crushed militarily.
To the Indian refineries, guess who was buying that? The Europeans. They are funding the war on themselves. President Trump, 2 weeks ago, sanctioned Rosneft and Lukoil, the two biggest Russian oil companies, and the price of Russian oil has collapsed.
Very quickly, is the Thanksgiving deadline set by President Trump a firm deadline?
I haven't spoken to him about it, but I am confident that the peace process is moving forward.
Okay, let me ask you about another topic this week that got a lot of attention. 6 congressional Democrats released a video with a message to service members and intelligence officials. Take a look.
The threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
President Trump accused these lawmakers of, quote, seditious behavior punishable by death. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said that every order President Trump gives is lawful. Are you confident that every order that President Trump gives is lawful, Mr. Secretary?
Kristen, what I am confident of is that this was a display of gross negligence here, that there are 2.1 million service members. And you're probably going to say, oh, like off the rails representatives have gotten death threats. Well, what about the 2.1 million service members? They have put their lives at risk. There is one commander in chief, and when you step outside of the chain of command and try to create the noise and chaos, that only helps our enemies.
Are you confident, though, Mr. Secretary, that every order that President Trump gives is in fact lawful, as Caroline Leavitt has said?
I am confident of that, and I am